Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I want to share with you some of my reads for 2023. So, of course, we've had it a number of times, readers or leaders. So I don't think this video is going to be going in depth into why we should read. I mean, by now, if you still don't know why it's important for us to read, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe another video can go into can try to convince you, but that is not the purpose of this video. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you some of the hard copy books that I have that I intend to read for 2023. So a little background: I've always loved to read. I've always been a voracious reader. Right from secondary school, when I couldn't afford the books I read, I used to borrow books from my classmates, read and then return. And then after secondary school, when I got into university, I focused more on academic books because I needed to make good grades. So I reduced the number of books I read while in the university. But then when I finished with the university during NYSC, before NYSC and during NYSC, I resumed reading. So mostly I read ebooks. And I read ebooks for two reasons. Number one, which was the major reason, was because I didn't have money to afford hard copy books. And then number two, which was also a very important reason, was because I wanted to read round the clock and I didn't want electricity challenge to be the reason why I can't read deep into the night, because maybe there is no lamp or there is no kerosene in the lamp, or maybe the rechargeable lantern is dead. Those excuses, I didn't want them. So these were like the two main reasons, and I don't think any of them supersedes the other. Like both of them were very big reasons for me to resort to reading only ebooks. And I consumed a lot of ebooks, like a lot of them. I read so many books, voluminous books that have very multiple pages, and I could finish them in like a day or two. So I prefer to read novels. They were very faster to read for me, and because the plots could be very interesting. Then you have this thrills and you have suspense. Those things make you want to turn the pages, and you turn and turn and turn up to the point where you realize that you finish reading this book, right? But then when I finished youth service and joined the tech community, I started seeing how important it was for me to incorporate other genres of book into my reading, things like motivational, inspirational, and relationship books. These books were a lot more difficult for me to read, I have to be honest, because they're inspirational books and they're not like so interesting, you understand? So I could read one inspirational book for like a month. So it reduced my reading pace, but I enjoyed reading them nevertheless, because the lessons you get from them are very interesting, and because they are books filled with lessons, I think that's even one of the reasons why you don't read them like you're reading novels, because you want to pick out something from them, right? So I started reading those books, but I started reading them still as ebooks. So one of the things that ebooks did to me was, in as much as I was able to surmount those challenges of maybe electricity or finances to purchase hard copy books, it was affecting my eyes, right? Coupled with the fact that even as a computer science student to school, a lot of the things we do, and even as a tech person, has to do with computers. So my screen time was really on the high side, and my eyes started to feel the effect of having to read small prints in my phone all day long. So last year I started learning how to start purchasing hard copy books, especially since the financial barrier was no longer there and the electricity was no longer a challenge as well, because I left the place where I used to have the electricity challenges. So here we have like round the clock, right? So last year I tried to start reading some hard copy books, and I was able to read about 5 books, which was really low. It was beneath the number of books I intended to read, but pregnancy happened, and pregnancy is my young meat. I struggled a lot with concentration during my pregnancy, so having to read a lot of books was so difficult. So I was able to read about 5 books, which I finished one of them. The last one, that's No Excuses by Brian Tracy, was one of my January reads. I started reading it in 2022, but I eventually finished it this month. So back to the main reason why I'm sharing this video. I want to share with you some of the books that I want to read in 2023. This year, I want to go back to fiction novels, because they are like the love of my reading life. They are the kind of books I've always wanted to read. I stepped away from reading them because I wanted to read more of self-development books, but I realized that whether it's self-development or not, reading novels also have a way of like helping you as a person, learning about other people's culture. It can take you to places you've never been before, makes you imagine, and most importantly, it makes your vocabulary to be superb. I remember when I used to read a lot of novels, when I spoke English those days, people used to say that I spoke like I was reading from a book, because of course I was learning most of my vocabularies from books, right? So vocabularies increase more when you read what you enjoy, like novels. You're most likely to need dictionaries when you're reading novels than when you're reading an inspirational book. So this year I got this. This is one of the most random books that I got, because I really don't know why it's here. I think I just like the volume and the fact that it's a novel. I love big novels because it makes me to keep reading and reading and reading. And when I get to the last page, I usually be like, why is there no other chapter in this book? I really wanted it to be bigger than this. So I shouldn't have shared that first. I'm supposed to share from my January read. So I already finished it. This is Purple Hibiscus. This is a reread for me. I read it first when I was in JS3, and it was borrowed, of course. So being borrowed and rushed, I only read it once, and that was that. So I've forgotten a lot of the things that happened. I just know the plot is around a very strict and tyrant dad that made the home very unhealthy for the children and the wife. So that's basically what I could remember. But then I read it again, and it was so thrilling. If you are looking for a good novel, it was written by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I 100% recommend this. It's a very good book. Then for February, I intend to start with this. This is Built to Last. It's a business book. I finished this in 2 days because I was working. I don't know when I'm going to finish this book. I have to be honest with you. I'll probably read this for the entire month, not 2 days, because as I said, business books, inspirational books, they take me the longest time to read because I have to read it gently to understand. It's not fun. I have to be sincere. It's not fun to read them, so I take the most time to read them. So I also got this book by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. It's The Thing Around Your Neck. The last time I googled about it, they said it was a collection of small stories. I don't know. I haven't read it, so maybe when I read it, I may maybe give a short review of what the book is like. I think I like the volume too. The width is great. I love big books. I also got this. It's Love Does Not Win Elections by Aisha Oshori. It's a novel, something that has to do with politics, I believe, and I think this is a very interesting time for me to read it since the Nigerian election is somewhere around the corner. I want to read a fiction that highlights that somehow. This is another big book. I love it. It's Americana by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. It's a reread for me. I read it about 5 years ago in ebook format. Yeah, I read this volume of book from my phone. So it's going to be a reread for me. I intend to read it again. It's a very interesting novel, and I want to read it again, this time in hardcopy format. Yeah, Half of a Yellow Sun by Chimamanda. As you can see, I think I got the entire Adichie collection. I got all her books. This is Half of a Yellow Sun. It's a very interesting novel, tragic. If you're someone who is very emotional, I don't recommend. I am an emotional person, but I'm gonna read it regardless. I've read it before and I'm going to read it again. It's a fictional story of the Biafran War and its impact to the people. This was gotten by my husband on Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Coleman. I'm going to read this. It's also a big read and it's going to be very slow for me. Yeah, it's going to be very slow because it's not a novel, but I'm going to read it regardless because I think it's important for everyone to know how to associate with people, how to be emotionally intelligent and emotionally sensitive to the needs of others, both in our career and in our relationship with people. This is Making Marriage Work. It was part of our anniversary read last year. I and my husband were reading it together. It was purchased by him and we're reading it together for our first year anniversary. But a few chapters in, I realized that the book was tilted towards the female folks more than the male folks. It spoke to me more than it spoke to my husband because it was written from a female's point of view, a wife's point of view. So I told my husband to go get another book for himself while I enjoyed this alone. So I am halfway into that book. I've not finished. Remember, it's not a novel, so I'm not in a rush to finish it. I'm going to finish it at my pace, but I'm going to finish it this year. So this is Bamboozled by Jesus. I was interested in this book because of the name. Yeah, the name. I love the fact that Jesus bamboozled her, and I think it's a personal story, like a true life story kind of. But when I read it, I'll probably know what's inside. The subtopic here is how God tricked me into the life of my dreams. I want God to trick me into the life of my dreams, so I can't wait to read this. This is Business of Belonging. It's by David Spinks, one of the community managers that I really admire. I purchased this book. I'm saying I purchased this book. Okay, my husband purchased this book. I didn't. It was purchased via Amazon because there wasn't a local copy in Nigeria. So he purchased this book for me in 2021 alongside one other community management and developer relations book, which I have read, but I haven't been able to read this one. So now that I'm done with that one, the name of that one is Developer Marketing Does Not Exist, by Adam Luvanda, I think so. So now that I'm done with that, I'm going to start with the Business of Belonging sometime this year. I'm hoping that I'm able to finish all of these books. It looks like a lot. I don't know, I think there are about 12 in number. I also have like small collections of Chimamanda's book. This is Dear Ijawele. This is Notes on Grief. She wrote this after the loss of her parents, I think. And then this is her debut book, We Should All Be Feminists. So I'm hoping somehow I'm going to be able to finish reading all these books this year. And of course, I read articles virtually every day, like long form articles, but at the end of the day, nobody counts the number of articles you read as books. But then if we count them, I think I read more than 50 books in a year because I consume a lot of articles. I keep digging into the internet looking for answers to my questions. But when it comes to these physical copy books, I'm excited I have them. I'm excited that I have passed that problem or that barrier of electricity or finances to purchase books. I'm also looking forward to explore audiobooks more. Although I've tried audiobooks about twice, it never worked out. But I'm currently doing an experiment with my U version Bible, where I listen to Bible passages every day. So I'm using it to train my psychological strength in listening to something or a human being read things from my phone to me. So when I'm successful with that, I'm going to experiment with audiobooks because of course there is a limit to what my shelf can hold when it comes to books. And being that I read a lot, it might get to a point where I have a lot of books and I won't have somewhere to keep them, and that wouldn't be great. So I'm going to explore audiobooks to have access to books around the world that I love to read. So that brings me to the end of this video. I just wanted to share with you all what my reading list looks like for 2023, and I would love to hear from you. What does your reading list look like? What genres of books do you want to read more of this year? Do you read books in a year according to themes? I know there are people who say, okay, this year I'm going to be learning business, and they focus on business books for that year. So do you do things like that? For me, I don't have a theme. I basically read books based on what I think I need to learn at that point, and then my novels are basically for entertainment because I am cutting down on the number of movies I see this year. So I am replacing movies with novels instead, right? So this is the reason why I'm reading novels. So what are your own genres of book? What do you want to read this year? Have you already purchased the books you're gonna read? Are you reading ebooks or hard copy books? Do you intend to use audiobooks? I just want to know what your reading lifestyle for 2023 is going to look like. Please do well to share them with me in the comment section, and I'd love to engage with every one of you. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, share it with people, and we will see in our next video. Bye.